What's going on, everybody? Here's episode 2 of Harper's Huddle. A couple questions and things that we want to go over today. One for one on my overall upset picks. So we'll get to that in a moment. My first question that I have for all of you would be, what do you consider an upset? Do you consider the upset by the overall point spread that comes from Vegas, or would you say the overall rankings in the top 25? Buddy of mine advised that Iowa Minnesota wasn't an upset due to the fact that they were a 3-point favorite over Minnesota. However, Iowa was ranked 20th and Minnesota was ranked 9th. So, in my book, personally, that is an upset because of the overall rankings. I don't really think the spread considers the upset or non-upset. Want to get your feedback, so go ahead and leave a comment down below. Like the video, subscribe. Make sure I got people viewing the videos. Last video is sitting about 77 views right now, which is great. I didn't expect it. I expected 5 views, 6 views. So having 77, that's pretty great in 3 days. So I want to just go ahead and jump into it. Like I stated earlier in the video, I was one for one on my upset picks. Auburn could have had that game. Unfortunately, they couldn't move in Georgia territory. Once they got into the 40 for Georgia, they stopped. Their offense was like obsolete. Not until the fourth quarter where something just clicked and they decided, hey, they can score some points all of a sudden. And then they had the opportunity, and the running back dropped the easiest pass. However, it was behind them. I'll give him credit. It was behind him. But a simple dip pass to the running back, and they couldn't convert. And they had another opportunity. They got a stop, and Georgia got a sack. That put them in a tough spot, and Georgia was able to pull out the game. So it doesn't really mess up my college football predictions just a little bit. And you'll see here in just a moment when we go over some things. Um, One thing I want to say about Georgia is since South Carolina game, since they lost to South Carolina, the max points that they have scored is 27 uh, against Missouri. Other than that, no more than 24 points have been scored, or excuse me, that Georgia has scored. That's 5 games total. Um, so with that being said, I don't think that they can score a lot of points. Yes, their defense wins them games primarily, but if their back's against the wall, I don't think that Georgia will be able to compete, with Alabama or Georgia or LSU. Um, so I have nothing against Georgia, and I know I was wrong last week, but I think Texas A&M upsets Georgia. I think one thing that we have to take away from it is Georgia has never played Texas A&M at all since Texas A&M has joined the West. Georgia has not played them at all, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. Now it is in Athens, so it does kind of help them out a little bit, but they did lose in Athens versus South Carolina, so it's going to be tough to judge. Texas A&M's defense isn't that bad overall. Georgia right now is only allowing about 11 points a game. Texas A&M is offering about 20 points a game. But in yards total for the game, their defense has given up only 40 more yards a game uh, than Georgia's defense. So realistically, it's basically in the same boat. Yes, 40 yards is a lot. Um, but I think them not being familiar with their opponent, I think Texas A&M will be able to beat Georgia. Um, so I wouldn't say final score. I want to say maybe I'll say 31-24 Texas A&M. That would be my upset pick there. Other upset that I mentioned last week, I think Penn State over Ohio State. I believe Ohio State opened up as a 10 to 14 point favorite, but I'm confident Penn State goes into Columbus, into the shoe, and Penn State will knock off Ohio State. A couple of my viewers out there, big USF fans, so another upset pick I have. You're so close against Cincinnati. I'm saying USF over Memphis. Memphis comes in as a 14-point favorite. It is at home for USF. I think USF does upset Memphis. So go Bulls. So final prediction for the playoff as of right now. I'm still Clemson Penn State gets in for beating Ohio State. Oregon, they get in, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma barely scraped by against Baylor, but Jalen Hurts found a way to win, and he ended up winning. Um, One reason why I have Oklahoma, not just because they're a good football team, but I think sports always comes down to what's going to be the biggest story. In the beginning of the year, I had Oklahoma winning it all because I think it's funny because, when the announcer says, oh, so and so quarterback hasn't thrown a pick in, you know, 78 attempts, and then the next throw after that, he throws a pick. I just feel like there's always a correlation, and it's always funny how it ends up that way. And I think the best story for college football, besides LSU's revitalized offense, I would say is Jalen Hurts going to another school and actually winning the national championship himself. Um, the last time Alabama won the national championship, Tua had to come in relief. Um, I think Jalen Hurts won as a freshman. I can't remember. That's too far, and forgive me for that. Um, but I don't think Jalen Hurts has won the national champ. Yeah, no, Jalen Hurts has not won the national championship as the winning quarterback. Tua came in overtime and beat Georgia, of course. Clemson beat them, and then Clemson beat them the following year. Jalen Hurts has never won as a starting quarterback for the whole game versus Alabama. Tua came in as a relief and they beat Georgia. Um, so I think that's just a good story in itself that Jalen Hurts goes to another school and he ends up winning the national championship. And it's kind of funny because correlation happens with Tua getting hurt. Tua's going to be out for the rest of the year. So it kind of just fits that mold overall on the correlation of, hey, Jalen Hurts leaves Alabama. Alabama loses Tua, who could have used Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is going to win a national championship with another team. So I think that story is unfolding, and I think it's hilarious. I feel bad for Tua. I'm not saying that his injury is hilarious, but I think it's just funny how sports work that way. Is that whatever the biggest headline or whatever ends up coming to be as far as what sells is college football. The ball doesn't lie, like they say in basketball. The ball definitely doesn't lie. Um, so that's kind of my segment there as far as upsets and what my still prediction is going to be. One thing I want to kind of start with this one is expanding the playoffs. With so many teams only having one loss now, um, I think playoffs obviously have to be expanded. They've talked about it before. What I would like to see is a 17 playoff. First seed gets a bye. That should be beneficial. All major five conference champions get automatic bids, and then you have two at-large bids. Um, I think that would be interesting to see. I'd like to see, those smaller schools get in and be a Cinderella story. The reason why we watch March Madness is because of the upsets. That's the only, yeah, we root for our teams, but everybody loves a good upset. Everybody loves an underdog, unless you lose to your team, Georgia State. But everybody loves to see the underdog win. So I'd like to get your thoughts, comments down below, like, subscribe, see what kind of ideas you have as far as college football playoff. One thing that I want to leave to you guys is kind of just a thought process here, is solving the pay scale with the players getting paid now since the NCAA opened that up for 2022 for players allowed to be paid. I do think there should be a pay lock, like you can't exceed X amount of dollars a payment per player. But what I think would be interesting for the NCAA and the players alike is they get a percentage of the ticket sales and jersey sales. Now, only way that you get a percentage and you get a cut of that is if you graduate with a degree. Now, the issue is, players could get hurt the longer they stay in college. However, they end up graduating, they're still going to get a cut of that money. It's going to make the sport more competitive because now you're filtering the money across the board where it's going to be a major team effort. Football is a team sport. So there shouldn't be that 1-2 star players that deserve more than others. It's a collaborative group, right? So there is no set percentage, for a superstar, excuse me, everybody is a playing field, so no one gets higher than the other. It's a playing field, and you only get paid if you graduate with a degree. Because once players don't get drafted, if they do get drafted, some of them they get cut, and then football's over for them. So if you look at the overall scale of players that are broke once they're done with football. They have nothing to look forward to. You leave your junior year, you don't graduate. A lot of people are moving towards the media route, where they're doing podcasts or they're doing videos and things like that. But at least you're setting them up for the future that, hey, at least you have a degree to fall back on if you happen not to make out in the NFL. That just is going to happen. But you're at least helping them out as young men for the future that, hey, you're going to get this degree and you're going to be able to get a job in some type of field that you have, and you're going to be able to make money and make a living for your family and for yourself if football doesn't work out. So I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see the scale even across the board again. And I'd like to see it to where you only get a cut if you graduate with a degree. Now, one issue that could be interesting if you think about it is back in the day, early 2000s, the NBA refs, some of the NBA refs were caught um, basically fixing games, right? They're fixing the games by point spreads, right? So one issue that could happen is that, hey, booster, someone comes up to a couple players and says, hey, here's 15,000. Just make the game close. Beat the spread, cover the spread, or just go under the spread, right? You can win the game, but go under the spread. So those things are going to be interesting to see if the NCAA can get that regulated to where there's no fix in the games. I think it would be interesting to see if that ever comes up or that comes up to an issue. Now, we all know, and you'd be blind really if you don't see it, but colleges pay their players already. Their top players, the recruits, they get paid. Either they filter it through a church, they filter it through a dealership, they're going to get paid. So for people to think that, oh, college players don't deserve to get paid, they're getting paid already. All right. So it's not going to be a difference. But if you set a cap, if you set, you know, a reason behind it and you set a goal that, hey, yes, you're going to get a percentage of money, but at the end of the day, you're going to get a degree that's going to help you in the future. That's something that I would definitely love to see. I'd like to get your thoughts again. Um, it's been a pleasure doing these things. Looking at maybe every Tuesday to Sunday, those videos on Tuesday and Sunday, so we can kind of recap what I said on Tuesday, and with the college football playoff rankings coming out on Tuesday night, kind of get an idea to see. The rankings came out. It's Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, and Georgia. Those are the current rankings at this time. My prediction at the end of the day, again, is going to be Oregon, Clemson, Penn State, and Oklahoma. Um, Again, love to hear feedback, what you guys love to see, what you guys want to hear. I'm having a blast doing these. Just kind of putting out content. Um, Still shocked that 77 people watched my video uh, the first time that it came out. So I'd like to see what kind of, maybe we double it. Who knows? But again, like and subscribe, comment down below. Again, question of the day. Question to you is, what is considered an upset? Is the upset by the overall spread, or is the upset by the AP poll ranking for college football? Again, this is